Parents in fiction have it kind of rough, don't they? Today is Mother's Day, and I thought about making this week's reel about all the great mothers in fiction. But as I started brainstorming, I started to realize that good examples of great mothers from fictional stories are actually pretty rare. Sure, positive mother figures exist, but they often get sidelined very quickly. In things like Disney movies, for example, movies that are ironically intended to appeal to small children, instead of a positive mother figure, you'll see somebody like Snow White's wicked stepmother. And that's just not fair. There are so many wonderful stepmothers out there, but thanks a lot, Disney. You can't use the word without thinking about somebody like Lady Tremaine. And if moms in fiction aren't evil, often they're insufferable. Think about Lwaxana Troi from Star Trek The Next Generation. Sure, she's not a villain, but she's self-centered, she's smothering, she's controlling, she's arrogant, and anytime she beams onto the ship, she throws the whole thing into chaos. Sophia Petrillo from The Golden Girls, one of the funniest characters in TV history, right? But let's not forget that the first episode of the show established the fact that she had had a stroke that destroyed her brain's ability to filter itself. Sophia literally says the first thing that comes to her mind, no matter how rude or abrasive it is. And yeah, it's funny for the audience, but can you imagine the pain in the neck it would be if your mother actually behaved that way? Thelma Harper from Mama's Family, one of the all-time great underrated sitcoms, by the way, is another example of a dysfunctional family. In this show, the humor usually comes from the streetwise mama trying to deal with the buffoonery of all the lunatics that she's given birth to. It's so rare that the writers stop to remind us that these characters actually do love each other that it always comes across as one of those very special episodes. And you'll notice that these have all been examples of mothers in stories where the fathers are not present. When they are present, it's not really that much better. Most of your comedies that have both a mother and a father present give us the dad who's an insensitive oaf and the mother who's a wailing shrew. I'm not saying that every TV family has to be the bland, antiseptic cleavers from Leave It to Beaver, but it just seems to me that there's got to be some sort of a middle ground. Not every parent has to be Sophia, Al Bundy, or Dungeon Crawler Carl's parents. By the way, I'm on book 7 now. Book 8 comes out Tuesday, so you can bet I'll have a lot to say about this very soon. Now, I didn't notice this trope very much when I was younger, but it becomes apparent when you become a parent. You look at TV and movies and books, and you ask yourself, where are our role models? Where are the characters that show what being a good parent looks like? And look, I get why it happens this way. When you're writing a story, you need to give your characters conflict. You need to give your characters tension. And some of the easiest ways to do that are to have parents who were either victims of an origin story or who played with the bad guys. I'm even guilty of it myself. I've published 5 novels, and of the 5 of them, only one has actually had main characters that include a father, a mother, and their child. The rest of them all have parents who are absent, no longer with us, or single. And this is by no means intended to trash single parents, mind you. Parenting is the hardest job in the universe, and single parents are doing the work of 2. Those are actual, well, superheroes. I'm just saying that it's become such a trope that I'm starting to want to see stories that go back in the other direction again. I've actually had 2 different story ideas kicking around in my head to possibly work on once I finish the Little Stars trilogy. By the way, I promise I am deep in the weeds on the edits for book 2. They are coming, and when they come, you'll be the first to know. One of those 2 ideas is about a couple of single parents whose lives get entwined together because their daughters are best friends. The other one is about a family with a mom, a dad, 3 kids, and a big secret. I've been going back and forth about which one of them I'm going to move to the front of the line when I'm ready for the next project, and right now, I gotta say, the one with the mom and the dad is kind of pulling ahead, mostly because I want to show that it is possible to do a compelling story with a family that's all there and all likes each other. Let me just leave you with an example of the kind of stories that I'm hoping to see, and it comes from a very unexpected place. This spring, DC and Marvel Comics did a couple of crossover comics with their 2 flagship characters, Superman and Spider-Man. The second has a story written by Brad Meltzer, where Superman and Spider-Man face off against Lex Luthor and the Green Goblin. Makes sense, right? Sure, the heroes versus their arch-enemies. But I'm here to tell you guys, it doesn't matter in the slightest who the villains are. It could have been the Condiment King and the Hypno Hustler, and the story still would have landed, because this is not a story about heroes fighting supervillains. No, Meltzer very sneakily worked in a story that demonstrated the fact that the 2 greatest heroes of their respective universes are not the greatest heroes because of any powers that they have. No. They're the greatest heroes because of the 2 wonderful sets of adopted parents who took them in and taught them to be the people that they are. Yeah, more stories like that, please. So to all the Mays and Marthas out there, Happy Mother's Day!